This is part 2 of the Project 5 assignment video. In part 1 it was explained that you would be adjusting the proportions of a sketch in a bicycle geometry file in Solidworks, and you would do this by selecting appropriate parameters from tables supplied to you. First table supplied to you allows you to select your frame size based on your height, and the second table would allow you to determine key dimensions of your bicycle geometry based on that selected frame size. We're going through this trouble to avoid having an unfortunate situation like this. The purpose of this video is to allow you to select your frame size using this chart, but before we can do this, we not only need to have our height, we also need to know what our body proportions are. The ratio of our inseam or leg length to our total height is going to determine whether we have a short torso, a medium torso, or long torso. And this is going to play into the final decision of our frame size. We'll come back to this diagram in a moment. Most people know their height, but they don't necessarily know what their true leg inseam length is. Bicycle shops employ a machine like this one, which has a horizontal bar which can move up and down. This bar is moved to the top of the groin, and a measurement is taken from the top of the bar down to the floor. Of course, this is done without any shoes on. Most of you will not have access to a machine like this. You can simulate this machine by clamping a book or carpenter square between your legs. Pull the spine or the top edge of the square to the top of your groin. Make sure that the upper edge of the book or square is horizontal with respect to the floor, and from that top edge measure down to the floor to get the inseam length. And while they're at it, you can also have your friend measure your total height just for confirmation. If you can't get anyone to help you with this, there is another method that's easier but a little less accurate. That is simply to take your pants inseam length and add about an inch to get your true leg inseam. Obviously you want to choose pants that normally come down to the top of your shoe. Regardless of the method you use, what you want to do is take this length in inches and convert it to centimeters by multiplying by 2.54. So 33-inch inseam in centimeters is 33 times 2.54, which is 83.8 centimeters. This number will be useful later on when you are adjusting the seat height in your Solidworks sketches. The last thing to do then is just calculate the inseam to height ratio by dividing inseam by height and multiplying by 100 to get a percentage. So if we have a 33-inch inseam, a height of 5 foot 10 inches, which is the same as 70 inches, the ratio is 33 divided by 70, which is 0.47 or 47%. We now have everything we need to know to determine our torso proportions and to finally select our appropriate frame size. Going back to our diagram, if you have an inseam which is greater than 50% of your height, in other words, the inseam to height ratio is more than 50%, it means you have long legs, which means you have a short torso. If your inseam is between 45 and 50% of your height, you have a medium torso. Finally, if your inseam is less than 45% of your height, it means you have short legs, which is the same as having a long torso. Now, going back to the frame sizing chart, we see that as a person's height increases, the size of the appropriate frame increases as well. It should also be noted that as the frame size increases, the top tube length increases as well, meaning that a person with a short torso is better off usually with a shorter frame size, and a person with a long torso is generally better off with a taller frame size. Now we see here from this frame size chart that for any height, we usually have 2 or 3 sizes we can actually choose from. So which is going to be the correct one? Here's the answer. If your height actually matches one of the heights in the chart or is very close, and you have a medium length torso, use this middle column to determine your appropriate frame size. If your height matches one of the rows in the chart and you have a short torso, use the left-hand column, which will give you a smaller frame size. If you have a long torso, conversely, use the right-hand column, or for these selections up here, use this right-hand column here or this right-hand number here. That will give you a longer top tube for your longer torso. If you have a height that falls between two selections, then look at the bigger frame size for the shorter height and the smaller frame size for the taller height. If you have a short torso, pick the smaller size. If you have a long torso, pick the larger size. Let's look at a few simple examples. Bob has a height of 6 foot 2 inches, which is the same as 74 inches. His inseam is 36 inches, giving him an inseam to height ratio of 49%. That gives him a medium length torso because it's between 45 and 50%. He has a frame choice of 56, 58, or 60 centimeters, as we can see here from the chart. Because Bob has a medium torso, we will pick the middle number. The final selection is 58 centimeters. Carol is 5 foot 7, which is 67 inches, with an inseam of 34 inches. Her ratio is 51%, giving her long legs or a short torso. Her height falls between two of the heights on the chart. So we have a choice between a 54 and a 52 centimeter frame. Because she has a short torso, we will pick the shorter of the two for her, which is 52 centimeters. Ted is 5 foot 10, which is 70 inches, and has an inseam of 31 inches, giving him a ratio of 44%. This gives him a long torso or short legs. His height also falls between two different heights in the chart. This gives him a choice between a 56 centimeter frame or a 54 centimeter frame. Because he has a long torso, we want to pick for him the larger size frame, which is the 56 centimeter frame. Finally, Alice is 5 foot 3 inches, 63 inches equivalent, with an inseam of 29 inches. This gives her an inseam to height ratio of 46%, which gives her a medium torso. Her height is on the chart. Because she has a medium torso, we will use the middle column, which for her will be a 50 centimeter bike. Now that we've determined how to select frame sizes, we can carry on with the process described in part 1 of this video, which is to use the geometry table and the appropriate numbers to alter the parameters in our Solidworks frame geometry sketches.